Yeah. So, I'll go most recent. One of the things through the course that you had brought up, that really clicked with me is, people living on autopilot throughout their life. And then I would say that was probably the best thing for me is you don't even realize it. Um, and even in the application, you said, you asked a bunch of questions like, are you successful, et cetera, just kind of about, your life. And I would say for me, going all the way back, like coming out of high school, I was 100% just focused on the next step in front of me. It was studying, it was working, just putting in time, just grinding, grinding, grinding. I was somebody who, for the majority of my life, has been up at 3:45, 4 a.m., going all day long. Just going through the motions year after year after year. Kind of, and I'm somebody who, which is why this course was easy for me to take on, because I was always looking to better myself in some way, some form or fashion, whether that be going to college to get a better job, to better yourself financially. I invest money in good exercise programs, nutrition, to make sure I'm physically fit, physically healthy. And I kind of got to a point of my most recent job. I had looked back and I'd kind of checked every box that I had set on myself for the last 10, 12 years. And I was, kind of looking about like I'm still having this. I mean, it wasn't as satisfying or gratifying as, you put in your head of like, if I get this, I get that, I get that, the dream job and everything. Right. And that's kind of where I was. And I was just sitting there like, what's the next step? And then I was looking at, maybe doing more schooling, changing jobs, like whatever. I was like, I've arrived, but I'm not happy. I'm not there day in and day out. And logically, I knew the things um, that I wanted to do. I was reading the books, the personal development books, the ebooks. I tried therapy, and it was just, it all made sense on paper to me. But I was looking for someone to coach me through, because when I got in certain situations, and a lot of times where I really came out was in, relationships. And I kind of, as you described, like Groundhog Day, that was definitely me. Is I was lacking, that emotional resiliency, that I would show up and I knew logically how I was supposed to be and react, but I kept getting myself in these situations, and
Mhm.
emotionally I wasn't there. Like I didn't have the feeling. I knew I was supposed to act this way, that way, but I didn't have the feeling, I didn't have the connection. And it was just, kind of one after another, um, of kind of routine, same thing. And I remember with myself again, I was like, man, again, another one. It was just like I said, Groundhog Day. And so the last relationship I had, I wanted to break the cycle and um, just break autopilot. So basically, what I'm getting at is I wanted to break the cycle from a relationship standpoint. Like I was like, this
Mhm.
is the last time. I got to do something different. And even in just through the entire course of my life, I wanted to invest in myself, or I was okay with investing in myself to better my growth. And that was the one area that I had been just ignoring through most of my life for the
Mhm.
last 10 years, because I was so invested in other areas. And so to me, it was, it was really easy to improve on that. It was a very big weakness. I seen it, I exploited it, I felt it, and I knew if I didn't change it, I was going to keep doing the same thing over and over. And so it was easy for me to make that commitment. And again, the biggest one for me was is I could read all the books and I had talked to
Yep.
some people, but I needed somebody to, when I was in those situations, coach me through it
Yeah.
and answer my questions. Put it into practice, to real life, to experience it.
How do you feel about that person now? Now that you realize that they were such an important, integral part of your personal journey for you to get from where you were to where you're supposed to be. How do you feel about them now, realizing that it happened exactly like it had to happen?
Yeah, to me, I look at it as like the perfect storm. I was probably like I said, it was just Groundhog Day. So I went into that one just already, you know, from all the previous ones too, because like I said, there's more than just one that, I
Yep.
appreciate. But the last one was like I remember you using the hernia example one time. Like it took you to get that far before you really decided to make the change, right?
Hmm.
You had to go through that much pain. So that one was like
I know you want to
the
say the straw that broke the camel's back. Is that
yeah,
the phrase?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was exactly it. And so Yeah, I mean, it, it, it definitely is something that it's exactly what it is it needed to happen to make a change. Otherwise
Yep.
it would just live the rest of my life in this cycle. Um, and so I'm thankful for that. And I think the biggest thing is just the perception of there's a good chance that like that it might come up again, right?
Yep.
And I've already recognized that those situations arise. And previous me, just on autopilot, like yeah, just going, not even not even having the ability to recognize that and not be afraid of it, but
Mm-hmm.
know how to go into it the right way with the emotional resiliency. um, because you do look back and it's like if I was the way I am now, things might have been different, right? Not in necessarily like I regret that I would have done things differently,
Yeah.
but if it comes up again, I'm ready. I'm ready to handle it how I should have handled it, right? And so for me, kind of like the example I had used is like, you play just any game and you go back and you watch the film and you're like, I made a mistake there, but I had to have made that mistake to know that next time I'm in that situation to not make that same mistake, right? Because that's where I think a lot of the hurt came
Mm-hmm.
from, is because you really did want it to work out and you
Yeah.
really wanted to, you invested in it, and you just like we say, you did the best you could with what you knew and where you were
Yeah.
at in your life for the situation. But now and again, not logically, because I was saying the same thing. It's like logically I knew I was supposed to do this, that, but emotionally I wasn't there with my head in terms of like the feeling and my heart. So I'm confident now that when I'm in those situations
Mm-hmm.
again, um, you can live kind of fearless and you appreciate it then. Because even if you don't do it exactly and you still lose, like you come out of it knowing that I needed to experience that one too. You just keep
Yeah,
growing.
it's a great place to be. You can't control people. I was never here for that purpose, but you know that you're going to be good either way, and that's real freedom.
Mm.
And that, ironically, is what allows you to bring conversations you need to have to the forefront early, so you don't drag on. Because most people try the whole "too cool for school" route, where it's like, "Oh, I don't want to pressure them. I don't want to say these things." And then they wait 6 months, a year, and all of a sudden, then they have the conversation, and then that person tells them, "Well, I don't know if I want that now." Yeah, you just wasted a fucking year because you were afraid to say what you wanted because you're afraid of how you feel if you don't get it. So,
Yep.
okay, maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but at least you know you're going to be good either way, and that's the freedom. That's the freedom. Um, another thing I thought about too. I remember from our initial conversation that I think was almost haunting away for me, Chase. For one of the most memorable things from our first conversation too is when you told me, you and I spoke, and you told me that work had actually told you that you're a little distracted. Like they even asked you, they kind of pulled you aside, like what's going on with you. Remember that?
Yep.
And I remember, I didn't really know you at the time. And I do like coaching people. I'm being straight. I do like making money. I do like having money to do things. That's true. But at that moment, I was just for you, man. I was like, dude, I know where that one's going to. I've been in that place. And that's a fucking terror. I knew if you did not do it, you'd pay the ultimate price for that. Meaning it would get a lot harder. Not long term, not from a soul perspective. I mean, ultimately, that would have been, again, the sweet's not sweet without the sour, but you would have gone through another pain cycle. And that would have been fucking terrible. I knew where that was going to. I'm like, Chase, you gotta fix this, man. Like you can't keep doing what you're doing. And I remember just for that moment, I felt very connected to you because I'm like, this guy has to do this. If he doesn't do this, it's not going to solve itself. He's not going to be able to get out of that funk otherwise. So do you remember that when you and I talked about
100%. Yep.
how did you feel? How did you feel at that point where at work you just weren't able to the situation, because a lot of people can relate this. It was so bad. It wasn't just where the relationship was taking over your life, man.
Yeah. So that was like one alarming scenario. But even just like talking with people like friends and family on the phone, no matter how much you tried to fake it, they could just tell. They'd make comments about it too. And um, so yeah, so it was in every aspect. It was with my friends, my family, at work, and it was one of those things too, which I feel like you know a lot of people maybe could relate to. You just kind of you bury it and you put on the best face you can, and you do the best you can. And that's my point of like the whole autopilot thing. It's like you just keep going, and at some point though, no matter how much you try to mask it, it you got to put some real action to it, especially if everyone around you is noticing it
Mhm.
and you're not intentionally trying to look for a pity party thing. Like, it's just the energy you bring. And it was also very rough too, because like you'd go and be around family and that was supposed to be like a really good, happy time. But just because of the way you're feeling, you not only were you distracted, but you were a distraction from your family. So you were kind of like just bringing the room down, and you knew that. And like, so you almost felt guilty of like taking it around somebody, because you don't want to be the negative energy around
Mhm.
anybody,
Yeah.
so it was yeah, like in every aspect. That was a big deal to me, and I think another thing too is, someone made the comment, was like, we could tell you were low, and it was just really breaking our hearts because we didn't know how to help you, right? And it's just with anybody is, um and I never asked anybody for help, but I knew that nobody could help me but myself, right? And that's not their responsibility. And so that's why, you know yeah, this had to happen. And
Mhm.
for me, it was, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I know I got to fix this, which is, yeah, I tried the ebooks, like I was saying before. I tried all that stuff and it just wasn't working. So I'm thankful for them. Can look
Mhm.
at it as time wasted, but if I hadn't have done that,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have known they didn't work. And those led me to this too. So it was just a progression. So, thankful for all those moments.
Mhm.
And then so when you circle back, even like with work and like my friends and family, they've definitely noticed a change. And that's probably the most exciting thing for me, is just showing up differently, showing up the way, I need to be, because you don't want to be that negative drain anywhere you go. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing for me in my program, and some of the stuff too is kind of the last set of slides you gave of, be a shining light for others. Right.
Mhm.
They've seen you low, now they see you high, and they see that, and you can be that light. And it simply just shows that, like, you can help yourself, but you got to help yourself. And they love seeing that, right? They love seeing you succeed, right? So um yeah, just all encompassing in every aspect. And even in work, like today, went into a meeting and was feeling really good, and all of a sudden something got dropped on me, and I started asking questions, and they just kind of came at me pretty hot, and I walked out of the meeting. And I asked some other people, did I deserve the response? And they said, no, like, for you, especially, you were very calm, cool, collected. Like, they were in the wrong. Like, they shouldn't have, like, came at you like that. And so for me, being in a very hostile situation, being able to be the one that was emotionally calm, cool, is a significant change from
Yeah, I bet.
the first conversation we
Uh-huh.
had,